Should be live. Hello, welcome to the podcast where we talk about anime and stuff. I don't know why I'm trying to sound like Kobe right now, but with me today I have
What?
Jackisboy.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Noctis from Final Fantasy VII.
No, you're not. And we also have Core.
Hi.
Oh, I guess
All right.
that's not me, actually. Shit. All right.
So, long story short, I convinced these beautiful boys to watch Gakkou Gurashi, a show I talk about a lot on this channel. If you don't know anything about it, it's probably not a good starting point. I'd recommend watching one of the many videos I've made on it. But we're going to be spoiling the hell out of it and just talking about it. And yeah.
Yes.
So, first and foremost, what were your general thoughts on the show now having finished it?
Oh, I loved it. It was great. It was pretty damn good. The character designs. Oh, I love their eyes. That's like probably my favorite part of the show is all the characters' eyes. It's pretty funny. It's not though. It's not funny. It's pretty good.
That's good to hear. What about you, Core?
It's a solid show. I enjoyed it. It's dramatic. It's funny. It's epic. It's pretty darn 9 out of 10, if I say so myself.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
No, so like, what were your expectations going in? Did you just assume that I was like an insane person that just liked this thing way too much, or do you kind of get it?
We usually have pretty similar tastes. I feel like across the board, most of the things you like, I like. Like you like Girls Last Tour a lot. I also like Girls Last Tour a lot. We like trigger shows. Yeah, we're not far apart.
I was thinking it was interesting because we watched, like, before I actually watched the entire show, like, we group watched the first episode, and it was pretty damn good. But the rewatching that first episode was pretty interesting. I was thinking that, if you've made so many videos on it,
because Jack has the only perspective of not knowing the first episode twist before watching it. And because I was spoiled to it, that's how I found the show. Core already knew about the twist in the first episode.
Yeah, the twist was it wasn't like I don't even think I would have been very affected by it. I don't know. It didn't change. I knew there was something going on the entire time, like especially like when Urban's like, "Oh, Jack, we can't talk about Gakkou Gurashi around people." Because spoilers.
It sucks to talk about just
because so like if you talk it's like the problem with the Promised Neverland where everyone on Twitter was like, don't talk about the spoiler, don't spoil it, don't spoil it, guys. That's it's the exact same thing, but every day I'm talking to Urban and then he's like,
from the very first second, both Promised Neverland and Gakkou Gurashi, it's like you immediately know something is off. Yeah, okay, you might not know what is wrong, but things aren't right. I mean, in the first place, people bring it up in the context of like horror and thriller and that type of stuff. So you already know there's something's going to happen. So for me, in my opinion, like it doesn't really matter what it is. It doesn't really matter if you like say, "Oh, it's this or it's that."
Yeah, you're always going to be expecting something.
20 minutes of time.
There's like no way you're gonna get.
It's not like they're trying to like.
Especially now that it's like not seasonal, so it's not like people are just randomly watching it.
Yeah.
It's a new show.
I mean, it's different because like. I just feel like Gakkou Gurashi really clues you into it and really tries really hard to do so. It's not really trying to surprise you that much. I feel like. With most of its twists, they're usually telegraphed pretty clearly. Yeah. So like if it is a surprise, it's like, oh, that's neat. That's neat. But like if it wasn't a surprise, it works just fine, I think.
Yeah. All that foreshadowing in episode 1, man. I mean, I've talked about it like at least 2 of the videos. So people know how I feel about it, but yeah, there's just continually just new information I'm like picking out of it anytime I like go back to it. And this is great. Actually, so to skip a little far ahead, we do have a little bit of an interesting perspective because Jack totally saw the twist coming in episode 6, or he like or is already aware what happens, but that Megane is an illusion or part of Yuki's delusion. But apparently Core didn't see it coming, just like me. I didn't see that coming either when I was
I'm an
first watching
intellectual, and you guys are just lower.
Yeah,
B.
no,
But
Jack is
you already knew that.
level
We already knew
above.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. No,
but yeah, no, like, so how do you feel about episode 6, Jack? Because I feel like you and Core are gonna have very different opinions on it.
Well, episode 6 is easily the worst episode of the show. Like, because the entire episode is built off this like impact, like this punch of, oh my god, the reveal of Megane being dead. But I was like, okay, she's dead. I just like I didn't even think they were gonna do a big reveal of it because I thought it was like so fucking obvious.
Like, obvious. Yeah.
And then they spend an entire episode on it, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? It was, yeah. I think that was just like my biggest problem with the show. That episode. But I still think it's great.
It was bad. No,
it's a bad. Yeah, it was a meh episode of a great show, but not every show can have every episode being great. So, yeah.
Yeah, Core had like a different experience from what I've heard. How did you?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I really didn't see it coming because I think largely because of the way the show's framed, sort of threw me off guard. Because it starts it starts farther in the future, and then we go back in time, right?
Mm-hmm.
From before Miki joins the group, and then there's flashbacks in that sort of in show time moving backwards back to when Mego was like alive and real.
She was like interacting with people.
Yeah, so that was enough for me to not pick up on the fact. Granted, like once they made the reveal, I was like, oh, like this makes total sense. Like the entire like meme of her is that the other people like don't. She has a weak presence. It makes so much sense.
And that's the joke. And I'm like, that's funny. I'm like, but I was like, oh. Once I caught on to like the thing before, I was like, stop making this joke. She's not alive. You stop playing with Yuki. Oh my god, poor girl. Psycho.
Yeah, I get you. No, but honestly, I was not prepared for it like either. I think part of it was totally that they kind of jump around between two different like time frames, and in addition to that, it was also just like, I think because the first episode sets up that twist, you're like, all right, the show's showed its hand, right? Like I'm not expecting another similar sort of reveal. And I think it's really interesting because they do it like in almost the same way, because it's Miki confronting Yuki again, and then it's like you change perspective from Miki to Yuki, or the other way around.
No, yeah, like from the first episode, I was just paying attention like a lot. I think because I'm like, there's gonna be something else. I kept looking into everything a little too much. I don't know, and
I mean that's not even like, I'm not gonna say that was your fault or anything.
No, but I thought it was like, that was like a great part of the show, just picking up on little like foreshadowing bits, like little like nuances and everything. I thought that was like definitely one of my favorite parts because there's so much packed into like every frame and shit. The directing is just incredible. So like, yeah. It's great.
Yeah. I know Core liked the directing. At least he mentioned it pretty early on.
Yeah,
it's like digging it.
I think that's one of the show's biggest strengths. Is like just general like this level of attention to detail to all of the aspects that is just like, man, like they put a lot of thought. Like I think the moment that stood out to me is there's this one moment where what's her name, the Kurumi, like the zombies coming at her, and it's like a perspective shot, and what happens like during the dramatic scenes, we have the what are they called, the borders aspect ratio changes, So we have like the black border, so it's like more cinematic. And the zombies' hands actually extend out of the borders. So like, and it's like a split-second shot, but it's really effective at giving this sense of like 3D space to it. And like adding to the really like tension of it all. And then like other stuff, just the way it uses the framing to obscure things in a way that's just very visually distinct. And then it pairs that with just a strong sense for just imagery, like the way just very distinct parallels between things. Like you mentioned, one of your favorite shots is where she kills the zombie, and like it instead of showing it up front, it cuts and you see like a smashed tomato, and then you see like it happen in like the shadows, like stuff sticks in your mind.
You know, that whole scene in episode 3 really just sticks with me because it's all in just like what they don't show, and it's all like I think like the implication of like violence is more like brutal than anything they could actually show, especially because I mean, first of all, I think a lot of the decisions they made were to censor, but they use censorship in a way to like actually add more meaning to what's going on. Like Kurumi like visualizing the zombies mass behind these like shadows and stuff. That's like a way for her to essentially like dehumanize them. And that's like something that's not in the manga. It's like very clearly something that they had to work with, and they made something work out of it, which is why I really respect the show. Like I generally just want respect where it's due. I think that's why I talk about it so much, because whenever people talk about it, it's like the conversation never really goes any deep. But I think there's a lot there.
There's definitely a lot there. Yeah.
Also, thank you, Autism Lord, for $2. Nero, best girl, Fox wife, Beck's wife. I don't know who Nero is. Like Nero from like, wait, who are we talking about? You're in the wrong chat. I don't know what's going on.
You didn't rated up the stream. That's all I know. Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. I appreciate it, I guess.
Give Urban all your money. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, just keep giving money and we'll recognize the chat, you know.
That's the only way. No, but generally, thank you guys for showing up. But yes, was there anything else like super stand out? Like how do you feel about the whole like experience emotionally? Because this anime fucking destroys me more than anything else.
No, it destroyed me pretty good because I watched it in like in like 2 sittings. I wanted to get. It was just so great. It, you know, calmed my heart real quick. I think it was partly the aesthetic, but just, you know, I care for these girls. I cared for them a lot, and my heart was racing the last couple episodes, and just the ending was just so great. It was pretty nice, you know.
No, I agree. I generally like the pacing of everything, where it's like you're getting new information, but like it feels natural, and I don't know. I'll come back to that. Cord, do you have anything?
I think its emotional presentation is really effective. Because for me, like I mentioned this to you earlier, but like I think like the thing that strikes me the most emotionally is like just conceptually memories. Like not so much like if you think of it like there's like the death of someone, and then there's remembering that they've passed. And the second, that is the one that will always like really hits me harder than anything else. Like this recollection of things that are lost, or things that are past, which Gakkou Gurashi plays heavily into. I mean, half of it is framed within this whole, you know, flashback vignette style, through the like lens of the different characters' experiences and how they were brought together, and that's paired with like just this very I just like how it's not so overt with its like tragic moments. There's just a general general level of laid backness to their interactions, which I think sells it better for me. Like I can believe it a lot more than if it were more dramatized.
You know, they definitely like. I mentioned this also in conversations with you, but like I like how they take music out of the scene in like, the emotional moments. Actually, I think my legitimately favorite use of music and removal of music is in episode 6, because it's tied in with the twist, but it's done in a way that's like diegetic, like the boombox or whatever, that the CD player that they're playing the song on, it just sort of, you know, becomes more like distorted and starts breaking down. But it's because she hands the thing to Megadeth and she's obviously not there, so it just falls on the ground. And then they mix in like these heartbeats with the silence right before it like goes to like a commercial break, basically. And it's just fuck. that hurts like every time. And I think that's even if you did see it coming, I do think the twist itself is set up in a really cool way. Like if you look at episode 6 with no additional context, I think it really stands on its own. Obviously, if the context of having Megadeth before, like knowing everything about the situation she was in and everything, obviously helps. But for the twist itself, I think it's really effective.
Oh my god! I just realized. What? Okay, they call her Megune, right? Megane, it means glasses. She wears glasses.
Oh, it does. I didn't know that. I like that.
No, mentioning her name, actually, there's a song in the soundtrack that has her name in it. I can't remember what the full title is. But there's another version of that same song that's would you call it a motif if it's like the same version of or if it's like a different version of the same song? Or
you could call like a melodic refrain like a motif.
Okay.
Because a single song could have more than one motif in it.
Well, essentially, there's a second song in the soundtrack that's like the more like I guess messed up version of the original song, and it's called like reunite or reunion, and it's around the time where they where you kind of find out Megan's just kind of lurking around and they're gonna eventually run into her, which like man like how do you guys feel about horror anime in general? Also Sad Price said he loves you, Core. I think he said it's hiding. Yeah, it's
hiding. I don't
think you're hiding.
Who knows if it's hiding? But the horror anime, I don't even know if I've seen a horror anime. Like I don't even know what it classifies. But
I mean,
I don't even think a horror anime exists, honestly.
Yeah, no.
Every anime anyone brings up as horror, there's always like 5 replies that are like, "Oh, that's not really horror." So like, what even is a horror?
No, anything that has like horror elements in it, I kind of just lump together. Like, like just because it's so vague. Like, especially if we're talking Gakkou, the genres in general, there's just too many.
Like name a couple. Like what could classify?
Paranoid Agent apparently is horror.
Yeah,
no, I'd say stuff like Perfect Blue is horror. It's also a psychological thriller, you know. Anyway, how do you feel about like the horror elements of the show? Because I think sort of just like the surrounding like mood, like even in scenes where like I guess it's like the entire point of Digi's video on it. It's like the most popular Gakkou video. He just kind of explains that.
Oh, Perfect Blue, I guess. You know.
Yeah, Perfect Blue.
I think Gakkou's like execution of the tension is really phenomenal. Like I was not expecting to be as like gripped by it as I was, but it manages to, even without ever having any particularly grotesque imagery, create a really like uncomfortable atmosphere. Like just the way the various ways, like for instance, one of the touches that is quite effective is you almost never see the zombies like in full view. They're always obscured from your vision somehow, even when like they are in the front of the camera. Like there's one scene where it's like panning over them, they're walking outside of the school, the camera has like a blur over it, then it pans up to the girls on the roof and the blur fades away. So like they're all, or when you see it through Kunami's view where she uses like where she perceives them differently so that like she doesn't realize how human they are, right?
Yeah,
they have like
they're
in black shadows and stuff. So there's this constant, that playing into that fear of the unknown.
It's like implied threat.
Yeah, but what I also like more is that not only does it have this, this fearsomeness to it, because it's like what can be scarier than something you can't fully picture in your mind. They aren't just like magic creatures, right? They have logic they operate under, which to me is even more frightening because it's like everything makes sense within the setting. So it's not like you can just be like, oh, this is just pulling some dumb system of like pulling a magic trick out of the hat. Which does come back to one small criticism I have, which we'll get to later.
Yeah. I'm sure I know what it is.
Generally, it like they establish how they function. They work pretty similarly to like most video game logic for them. Actually, they have like lore to them, and all of it like is used later. So all of that like not only makes it a more like enjoyable show and more like well constructed narratively, but it makes them more of a believable threat to the characters.
Yeah, like they feel like they're real in the world itself. Jack, were you gonna say anything?
I was gonna add on to Cora's thing.
Yeah, no, like I noticed you tried to chime.
Yeah, the zombies, like he's talking about like blurring the vision, like keeping them like always off camera and shit.
Like obscured,
weird.
Yeah.
I feel like that definitely is part of like the atmosphere of the show, but I definitely feel like since they're terribly animated CG most of the time, they're trying to hide it. But I don't know. It's a little of both, I'd say. I don't know.
Yeah. I do feel genuinely bad that my favorite anime has bad CG in it. I mean, I can't escape it. It's everywhere. But what was I going to say? What I'm interested in as well is like the zombies in this are definitely more of like an allegory or like a like they're meant to be something like just like a force of nature more so than anything else. And I think like thematically the way they tie in is this kind of like surrounding reality, like around this like they stay in a bubble like the whole show. They stay in one spot. They stay in like this one room. Obviously they leave it like to find Miki at one point, but because it's like a surrounding threat and that they're sort of like retreating inward to live just like have a nice life. That's how I see the zombies. It's like just like the threat of like their literal reality, but also kind of just a representation of reality. If that does that make sense? I'm better having written this down and explained it. Just say it off the top of the head.
I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm also genuinely curious about that because like nobody talks about the zombies when they talk about this show. It's like they're an entity, they're always there, but like there's not really much to say about them aside from what Cora said, which is that they have logic and the fact that they the fact that they like follow like guidelines of being like that's directly tied to like the theme of memories and the zombies are cool. Zombies are all right. I like them.
Zombies are cool. I agree.
Yeah.
I like the way the Gakkou Gurashi mangaka draws them. They're very cute.
Yes.
I haven't seen them.
I'm getting my words.
Yeah, no, you're mixing them up. You're thinking
the person you had your profile picture on Discord.
Yeah, you're thinking of TK Biz.
TK Biz, yeah.
Yeah, that's a little cute Zombo. I like that boy. Oh yeah. How did you think, or how did you feel about the whole like cute girls doing cute things, slice of life like the way that's used in the show itself, because that's also like a big criticism a lot of people have with the show.
They're super stupid.
Yeah,
It's like the best part of the show. The characters are the best. I love them. I love all of them. But you know, the sister, like the big One-chan girl, she's kind of meh. I don't even remember her name. But the rest of the girls are pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked all the slice of life moments. Like, I think it especially works well, like in contrast with the rest of it. I just love that like total like split in tone. Like one moment they're having a fun time at like their little pool thing up top, and then like the next moment,
Oh
like,
yeah, the pool
fuck.
episode.
Oh, they're gonna fuck. Oh, the zombie is scary. I really like the change in tone.
It's like a nice release, but it's also like it's like there's never a moment where you feel like completely comfortable, I guess.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which is, I think, is cool.
And it's funny.
And it's funny.
It's genuinely great characters. And
yeah. Also, as the connoisseur of cute girls, I gotta weigh in.
Yes.
So I love this type of stuff, especially when the characters are well fleshed out. It's one of the reasons I really like Yuki Yuna. Is how it balances the like slice of life comedic elements with the underlying dramaticism. You know, the actual like underlings. You know, same vein as Madoka Magica, except Madoka does it a little differently. And I particularly like Gakkou Gurashi because their interactions are way more than just like, okay, here's the lighthearted slice of life moments so that we can give the dramatic moments more weight, right? Which is perfectly fine thing to do. It's a good technique. But all their interactions in the more comedic vein directly play into what happens later, develop the characters through that, create like play into their character arcs. And one of the most interesting aspects of it is that I think there's like this running aspect of I guess interaction as performance. Like almost everyone in the Gakugurashi cast is playing a character in their interactions. Like they're never really their true self. And I think like Yuki is just like the most blatant representation of that, but you even see it in the fact that the characters, they all play along with Yuki's delusions because it is better for them too. Like they have something to gain from playing into this
this false perspective.
Yeah. So everyone's
bliss.
just playing their own character so that they can operate in this society, which is, you know, kind of how it works. We can't just
it's essentially
escapism. It is a microcosm of like like they take the idea, the show creators took the idea of like, you know, society at a greater scale. What if we just like shrink that down to the most minute possible unit? And obviously, like in society, we can't just be ourselves. Like we are all to some degree or another putting on a face or playing a show. And especially for them, in order to operate in these like circumstances, they have to be able to some degree, you know, exercise escapism and play along, as it were.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing I actually really like about the characters, like whole dynamic, is they each like fill a role that's like really important to like each, like they're all like integral pieces to this like core 4 group. You know what I mean? Because you have like Yuki, who is the like the comfort of the group, right? You have Kurumi, who kind of carries the weight of the group and kind of just takes care of the things that like nobody else is really able to do, right? You have Yuri just basically trying to be the most responsible one, and then you have Miki as the outsider, having that like completely different perspective than everyone else, and it's super necessary by the end.
Yeah, for sure.
So the most digibro thing I ever heard. I don't know what Zaria is referring to.
Is that anyway. What the hell? Oh, Queen Zaria. Okay. Yeah. Can we kick this person from the?
No, let him be. I think we can move towards the end of the show, the good and the bad, and kind of talk about that. There is one more thing I wanted to touch on because I think it's one of my favorite things about the show, but it like took me a while to like really realize that. Is just like how much attention to detail is paid in like where items are placed and meaning like certain items have. Like some of the more blatant ones would be like Yuki's hat, which is, you know, like a representation of her like delusional state, her being inside that. She like retreats into it. And then you just have other things like the teddy bear, or they'll have like a half empty water bottle like on the ground in the frame, and it just like it conveys so much meaning, and it makes like the setting feel like really real, I guess. You know what I'm trying to get at here?
Yeah. There's a lot of like items do hold a lot of meaning, like the what was it, the record player, what was it, like the
CD player that Miki has,
CD player, yeah, that was that played a pretty role out. It was cool. Yeah,
it was cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they existed.
It definitely did exist.
I just added on to like the details of the show that I already liked. So
no, for sure. All right. So moving towards the end, I'm assuming this is where most of the criticisms would lie, but like generally, like what problems do you have with the show in general?
Like I don't even have that many problems with the show.
Right.
Kind of near episode 6 is like my biggest criticism, I'd say. I'm trying to think. I might have to rewatch it.
I feel like there's a bit more there than you're giving it credit for, but at the same time, it totally is just supposed to, like, the main point of it is the reveal.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some like foreshadowing and like little details in it that I might have missed, but yeah. Overall, like the ending, I liked it a lot. I just felt it was kind of I don't have that many problems.
There's a bit of an ass pull. There's a bit of an
nobody died. Okay, this is the reason Gakkou can't be a 10 for me,
because nobody died.
Because after all that tension, like, come on, someone had to die.
I was
like
fine.
That setup. Someone.
What are you talking about?
Like, I mean, I didn't want anyone to die.
The dog
but
died.
Like,
hello?
Someone.
It felt too convenient.
Aren't real. Dogs are.
The dog died.
Constructs
That's part of it.
Of our imagination.
I forgot his
they
name.
don't deserve any rights. They should just be
He's a good character.
Locked up and turned into burgers.
Honestly, I don't care that nobody died. I was happy because I love all the characters, but they killed the dog and I loved him. He was really cute.
Okay, no.
Hardcore.
Genuinely, I mean, I was quite sad when the dog died. Like, I actually cried. Which I wasn't expecting, because like I am pretty staunch in my I don't really care about animal lives very much, but it's a show, and this animal clearly has much higher intelligence than any other dog that has ever existed.
Exactly.
However, the issue comes in that the show basically, I feel like, almost writes itself into a corner where there's so much. Literally everything has gone wrong. Like they are like
it's coming in,
backed up to the edge of their chair. Everyone's about to die and go insane. And the tension is really, like, you can feel it. Like, my heart was pumping. I was like, oof, brother. But then the dog somehow fights against the zombie disease, which is something that they didn't set up beforehand, or didn't even establish was like possible.
Well, I don't think it was him fighting against the disease as much as it is just like, you know, how the zombies sort of retain like their memories and they follow through them. I think that was just like instinctive to protect Yuki. That's how I interpret that. I think him taking down a
I can see it. It just feels a little like
No, it's convenient.
It's like so much of what happens in like the last episode is like just convenient. And it's like if one thing, you can give it that, but then it's like also the fact that this puny dog like flies like a freaking rocket from a rocket launcher into the zombie, and she managed to get away from this like massive crowd.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot.
And then also the fact that like not only the Kurumi, but also the dog are able to be saved by the serum. Which seems a little weird to me because I was like, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense that something like a serum for humans would work on dogs. Like, we are completely different biologically.
Yeah.
And that it just felt like a really convenient way for them to have an emotional scene with the dog. Which I mean, it worked. Because what I'm saying is like all of this on a surface level worked. Because like in the moment I was feeling it, but like in the back of my mind there was like this little voice like, I can't really believe this.
Yeah. No, it
just felt like
coincidental.
It felt like there needed to be more sacrifice for the level of tension that they built.
Yeah. I do know from reading the manga, a big reason why that ending is like feels so sloppy is because they kind of combined like 3 or 4 different like events for like a climax essentially. Yeah, like the manga is very much more like things happen more often in the manga itself. As far as like,
I'm interested in reading that actually.
I guess I don't want to. I mean, you know what happens? Like it ends at the same point essentially where the manga like leaves off where the show ends, but everything in between that, it's like more dispersed evenly. Like I think the one thing that is anime exclusive that I don't like is that Yuki knows where to go from like Megane telling her like where to go, which is like it's either she's a ghost,
a ghoul,
or Yuki like deep down knows what to do in this situation despite
I took it as either a representation of like some subconscious knowledge or just
no, that's
like instinct, just going with your gut.
Yeah.
She
wasn't a ghost. That's all I know.
Yeah.
There was no ghost.
I know that was a theory, though.
This isn't Tokyo Magnitude.
It was a ghost the entire time.
It's a ghost. But yeah, there's a lot there that's really convenient. Like, and some stuff's just like slightly changed and it makes it kind of worse. Like the fact that they have the serum down there right after Kurumi gets like bitten, they're like, oh, by the way, there's like medicine in the basement. Like in the manga, the reason they go to the basement is because they discover there's medicine down there.
Isn't that? But that's what they said.
You know what I mean?
Medicine. They established that in the show too.
Well, no, not before she got bitten. It's like she gets bitten, and then they're like, "Oh, but there's medicine in the basement."
No, they knew before.
Well, they found the before, but they didn't know that there was medicine.
They knew that there was something in the basement, and they wanted to explore. But Kurumi was down there because she was looking for Tadamaru.
Yeah, she would. Okay.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just like an example of like it's a slight change that makes it like a little weaker in its plot towards the end. I do think the ending alone, like completely makes up for any missteps for me.
Me too.
Mostly because of just like so the dog dying, right? Tadamaru dying, poor boy. That's not what's emotionally resonant for me at that end. I think, I mean, the first time I watched it, I was likely crying because it's like, no, they lost the dog or whatever. But on rewatch, what just kind of ruins me is seeing like Yuki essentially able to understand the value in like loss, right? Something Core was talking about before. It's remembering those who were lost, remembering things that they've lost, but that she's still able to like retain her personality. Like she still feels like Yuki. However, you could tell she just grew so much so quickly like towards the end because she had to. It was like because reality came crashing down around her. She had to,
Yuki, what a gem.
Perfect.
Also,
what a queen.
Though sincerely, I was expecting her to go like pick up the bat and just start like wrecking shop, especially with like the scene where like her bloody hat in the OP. I was really expecting her to actually like put up a fight, but it's way more realistic that she like swings the bat, it does nothing, and
that was awesome.
immediately.
That was awesome.
Like that's totally realistic. She's like a weak like child.
It also just shows like how important Kurumi is
to them. Strength, man.
It's not just that she's strong, but that she's like that she has that experience. She could do what like they can't.
Yeah. She used to kill zombies before the apocalypse. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, Yuki's a perfect character. I love her.
Yuki's pretty cool,
Yeah, Yuki's pretty cool.
I think you should make a video on her, Urban.
Oh man, maybe I should. Wait, I already did.
Wait, wow,
jokester.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. What's the coincidence? Did you also make a video on Yuki, Jack?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Love to watch that. Anyway, that was a dumb fucking bit.
Cut it. Oh wait, we're live.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
This isn't Discord, guys. We can't just. Right.
Okay.
It's what it's devolved into by this point. But the point I wanted to get to that I didn't completely establish is that it's just the phrasing Yuki uses when she tells Miki like, hey, like it's okay to just be sad. It's like it's okay to like embrace your feelings and the reality of the situation. And then she says like the most fucking Yuki thing ever, where it's like, oh no, he remember his final words. Remember the dog's final words that he said. He said thank you. I was like, that's fucking cute as shit.
That was really
ruins
cute.
me, turns me into a child, and I love it.
I think I shed a tear. I think I shed a tear at the end. It was a couple weeks ago, but I think that's what happened.
Like, and to one thing I do want to say to what Core said, because I do kind of agree that it's all too convenient that all of the main girls make it out, but there is actually a lot of death and loss in the show in general, or at least there's like 3 major characters that I would call them major characters because the main 4 are the major characters, but like Megane dies, Kei dies, Toromaru dies, everyone they ever knew before then dies.
Yeah, like
I just boyfriend. It's different because it's like Mego is already dead when the story starts.
Yeah.
Harumaru is a dog. And Kei has no character at all. Like we literally don't like.
Yeah,
he's not. We don't know who he is. We don't know anything about him.
About Toromaru?
That Kurumi likes him.
No. Kei is
the boyfriend.
Miki girl. Kei is Miki's girl.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Kei is the one that Miki was with. That's what I was talking about. The boy, I wasn't even thinking about Kurumi's boyfriend, sort of. I wasn't even thinking about him. I think most of the trauma in that is just experiencing what the characters do without really knowing the characters that had died. But yeah, I don't know. That's Gakkou Gurashi. I like it a lot. I still have
a
bunch more to say on it, but I also don't want to stay here forever.
I just want to say,
yeah.
There's this one scene, which has a whole different context now that I like think back on it. But it's like they're in the classroom, and they are all just what's her name? The blonde. D. It's Ri, right? I think so.
No, she's not blonde. She has brown hair.
Brown.
Yuri? Ri-san?
The
older sister.
Big-breasted
character.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, her. Where they're all just like, they're just in the club room and they're just all like, thank you. Like, they're just like, it's such a they're just all like, thank you. And it's so genuine and sweet, and it like made me
when they're
tear
talking
up.
to Megane,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's
and Core didn't even know she was dead at that point. So now if he
Yeah.
rewatches it,
Yeah, now it
so
recontextualizes
man.
things.
It's
but
like, oh, come on.
no, I totally agree. That's also part of why I also mentioned a shot around that moment that I said I loved, and it's that you look at them from the outside through the glass, and all that you see in frame is Megane, and I think maybe Yuki, but you see Megane and maybe Yuki, and on the glass that is reflected is just a bunch of like zombies on the outside. It's like so much is communicated there, but like now that you know that Megane wasn't there at all and that she's in the center of that shot, it adds more meaning to that, and that's why I like it a lot. It's a painful image, actually, the more I think about it. There's quite a lot of
also, I just want to respond to what Bladerman was saying. I'll read it for people who are listening.
Sure.
I don't know what the point of anyone else dying would be, because the show is about them moving on, accepting reality. Any character dying in that wouldn't fit. Taromaru and the rest are a catalyst. So the way I view it is like, okay, your show, you have the actual like narrative itself, the text and the themes, right? What you're saying, with those need to work together. And if your text is not presented in a way that I can engage with it fully, then I can't.
You have a problem, yeah.
The themes won't resonate with me, and that is the issue I have with No One Dying, because it is set up in a way that feels like it needs some sort of genuine consequence for the dramatic point to have a real like sense of like weight to it, and that there isn't is where I take issue.
Yeah, I think the point that does get me in that moment is the loss of Toromaru, but also that Yuki has to confront her reality, and it's like you don't want her to have to go through that. That's what I think makes that work for me, I guess.
Right.
That's where the weight is for me. Like the end of, I think, episode 10, where she's like looking through the window and she realizes that it's broken. It's like just a reframing of like the thing in the first episode where she doesn't notice it. It's like that just breaks my heart. Also, like the fact that the music like cuts off at the perfect moment when that happens. Like it's that cheesy music box music I use everywhere, where in all my videos. But it like cuts off and there's like reverb, like it sounds like the track dies as she like realizes like the situation that they're in at that moment. And then eventually in the next episode, at the end, episode 11, I think, is my favorite in the whole show, just because of how it ends, where she accepts Megade's death, opens the door, and she's not there.
I think I agree with you. Episode 11 is great, and so is 10.
I just want to clarify, this is a very minor criticism, because I feel like we spent a lot of time talking about it. I did give this show a 9 out of 10. I think most of what it does works really well. And even in the moments that I have critiques of, there is stuff going on that I do think like works. Like, I mean, Tadama's death is like, it is pretty darn sad. So
yeah,
yeah.
You sure it's sad?
You
hate animals, right?
I mean, I do, but anime animals are like a little better than real.
No better.
Core likes children, right? I mean, does that count?
Those are
kind of human.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. Holly, if you watch the rest of the stream, you'll hear us talk about those deaths. So yeah, all right. That's
Megane died twice. I like that idea. Like there's the actual death, and then there's the point where she just leaves the fucking show. Yeah, I think that we've talked for quite a bit. Any final thoughts, or are we going to cut this?
It's a good show.
Go watch it.
The track number 2 on volume 1 of the soundtrack, Asa no Otozure, is the greatest piece of music ever composed by anyone ever.
Of course, since I still have you, could you say anything about the soundtrack? because I don't think I can get Shabu to say much more than I asked him for already.
So I really like the soundtrack. It's really charming. And it's mostly like it's got this really neat like synthesized strings. That when it's like presenting the show, like I mentioned this, it sounds like it's playing on like a faraway radio, which totally plays into like the aesthetic of the show.
Yeah, a lot of the tracks sound pretty distant. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like this distant and also like a sense of like nostalgia to most of the tracks. Like they're very like memories of a time gone by, very warm, but with this sort of sadness to it. Because I think like this is one of the things I like is that like most of the tracks are pretty on the more happy side, but there is like that nuanced emotion to it. And then when it does need to, it can kick things up for a more spooky percussive stylings.
Oh, for sure. Okay. I think that'll end it. That'll end it. Otherwise, I'll keep talking for hours.
All right, gamer.
Yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. Where can we find you and stuff? Also, what do you do?
Cora, go first.
Okay. You can find me. My channel is Core. You can find me on youtube.com/c/core reviews. Do not call me core reviews. But that is unfortunately the burden I am struck with. I make analysis videos. I'm probably going to be releasing a like 40-minute long video later this month, so look forward to that.
Nice.
Yeah. What do you do, Jackisboy?
I'm Jackisboy. You can find me at YouTube at Jackisboy. I make funny videos. I try to be funny, but sometimes it's not funny. I make anime and, sometimes video games. Yeah, I do the Disney cast with Core. Watch it on Core's channel. Yeah.
Oh, no. Are we going to talk about Gakkou Gurashi live action? Oh, no. No, we're not, actually. I'm just going to pretend like that doesn't exist until...
There's a Gakkou Gurashi live action movie?
Yeah, no, it came out earlier this year.
What? Really?
Yeah, January. Shit. But it's in Japan.
Bro,
if we don't have access to subtitles, so I have no idea
you need Netflix needs to get it so that you can finally make a Gakkou Gurashi video that gets views. How Netflix ruined my favorite anime. There you go.
Yeah, it was all Netflix.
Just that would be amazing. That would be great.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna pretend like that doesn't exist. I'll watch it drunk probably. That'll be fun. But yeah, thanks for joining me, guys, and I will stop broadcast now. Thanks for joining us today, people. See you later. Bye.